So in raids, there are a few mechanics that people get exposed to that you don't really experience in the open world. And when you decide to hop into raid after not experiencing these mechanics, you will undoubtedly mess them up. Like, I don't think I've ever met anybody who hasn't run into one of these issues at some point or another during their raiding journey. In short, this video is going to highlight the top 5 mechanics in raids or strikes that are absolute pug slayers. If you join a pug group and these mechanics are part of the wing you are trying to do, chances are somebody is going to fuck them up and you are going to be sitting there either laughing or just outright disappointed. Quick side note, this video was inspired by a comment by Mr. Brady 100.
Stole that shit. That's what I do, nigga. Fuck, nigga, I stole that shit.
So if you have any good ideas on what would make a good video, or if you just want to let me know what mechanics you see failed most often in your groups, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. First up, we have Sabbatha bombs and flame wall. Wing 1 is arguably the easiest wing known to man, especially in present day. Most of the first boss and the second boss are absolutely trivialized, while many of the ultra elite players will just completely neglect the mechanics of Sabbatha in favor of just pumping Omega DPS. Pug groups are typically incapable of this. The mechanics that I see absolutely slay pug groups are anything to do with these bombs, and subsequently the flame wall. There are 2 main bomb mechanics: the proximity bomb that you get from being close to Sabbatha, which will be doubled at a later phase in the fight, and the sapper bomb, which is a special action key required to do the cannons mechanic. Both of these bombs absolutely slay pug groups. The proximity bomb often doesn't get brought away from the group, which leads to significant damage pressure, especially during the later phases of the fight. And the sapper bomb not being thrown often results in a member dying from the flame wall, at least during the first couple of cannons. Realistically, these 2 bombs are 90% of the encounter. But wait, I know you're saying like, hey, still, you have a flak kiter. The flak kiter can kite the sapper bomb and you don't need to worry about it. Call me optimistic, but when I join pug groups, I assume that they have a functioning brain and are capable of pressing a single button when it gets on them. Maybe I'm misguided, but I always tell people when I'm training them that everyone should be paying attention and know what's going on. This mechanic is, in short, a coordination check by 2 random people, and if either of them fail, then your group has problems. And nothing is more frustrating than seeing a noob stand there with a sapper bomb while your cannoner gets pelted with flak or gets flame walled. It's one of the 7 wonders of raids. Next up, we have Zera, and for Zera, we have gliding mechanics and the special action key. Zera is the final boss of Wing 3, and there are 2 mechanics here that are absolutely pug destroyers. This boss is another one where everyone in the group kind of needs to know what's happening, but also it involves the infamous ability to literally just WASD move your character around. So Zera has a gliding mini phase in between its like fight DPS phases, and this gliding phase often results in a couple of people of being killed through their lack of ability to literally just glide from one platform to another. And as far as I'm aware, you still need leyline gliding for this fight, so sometimes pugs will just not have their masteries unlocked and they will just hard fail this fight like out of the gate. The other and more frustrating side of this encounter is the special action key aspect. Randomly, somebody in the party is given a special action key that grants a barrier to your group, and if you don't use it at the right time, or in many cases not use it at all, your entire team will just wipe. And since this mechanic appears in the later phases of the fight, it can be super frustrating because your group will just be like, oh, my bad, in squad chat, and it'll just make everybody more pissed off. Like, I think using it a little too early is also frustrating, because if you use it a little too early, people will sweat thinking it won't last long enough for the actual blast. But the like, oh, my bad, I didn't see the special action key, and just failing to use this mechanic is 1000% rage bait material. Like, people get League of Legends pissed when this mechanic is failed. For number 3, this is obvious. We got Deimos oils. Now, this is the most obvious mechanic to everybody who clicked on this video. When you saw top 5, you know for a fact that this mechanic was going to be on the list. I'd wager to say say that this mechanic is the most infamous mechanic that people fail in raids. Deimos oils are by far the most notable grief tier mechanic that literally every pug group loves. They love to stand in the oil. Every single time, it's like I got 9 Hulk Hogans on my team, and you know what I'm saying? The thing is, outside of visual clarity of the graphics itself, it really is just an easy mechanic not to mess up. Like everybody messes it up. Just don't touch it. Don't stand in it. But this mechanic really highlights the advantages between ranged and melee builds in Guild Wars. Like, jokes aside, it's exactly mechanics like this that make it obvious for the majority of your DPS players to be ranged to give less chance of actually triggering this mechanic. And the only other mechanic that I think is more of a pug slayer is just not CCing the third Sol, where he'll like teleport you into the oil. That's really the ultimate grief when your team fails to target the third Sol and then you get ported into the oil. That's my favorite thing to ever happen. These days it's really a recoverable issue, but it's still incredible to see it when it happens, which is like literally every run. And there were a lot of memes that I was planning on making for this segment. I don't know how many of them will land, and I might just cut this whole part out. All right, number 4. Now this is going to be pylons for Wing 7. And for the most part, Wing 7 has very little complexity to its bosses. Even Kadim the Peerless doesn't have that many things going for him. But you do have pylons, which are absolutely mandatory. And then you have everyone turning into lava and dropping lava. And the lava drop mechanic can also be incredibly frustrating. But having a pylon kiter that just doesn't know what's going on is significantly worse in my opinion. The secret to pylon kiting on Kadim the Peerless is actually just running some full celestial or some full hybrid build and just ignoring your DPS output. Like, I fully ignore my DPS output as a pylon and just 100% focus on self-sufficiency. I bring a bunch of defensive utilities, full celestial gear, and just focus on my primary job of just making sure that I grab the orb and making sure that I don't die. Many people try to overcomplicate this role by using like mesmers with blinks and stuff. In my opinion, the kings of pylon kiting by far are necromancers and everybody's favorite low intensity build, the pistol Deadeye. In short, any class that has a strong self heal and some blinks will do, but this mechanic in general is an absolute pug slayer. It is so hard to find people to pylon kite, even though it's actually really easy. And of course, last but certainly not least, we have greens for Doom. Now, this only really applies to greens 1 and 2. The thing about greens is that you need to track a timer. Some people use an add-on for this, but you need to be at the right place at the right time. You need to collect the right orbs, and you also need to be successful, which means you need to not laser yourself, or you need to not fail to collect the right amount of orbs. With these things in mind, the green aspect on this fight is the most important aspect, because if any one of them fails, like, you die and it's a wipe. But pugs are pretty incapable of doing it consistently. Like, the number of times I pug into a Wing 5 and I find that green 2 dies on their first green, which is also the kiter for the fight, or people forget that it's their turn and they just say like oops in chat, and then you have to redo the pre-event, or they fail to get the right orb and you have a skeleton attacking one of your people. Like, with Doom greens, there are about 6 or 7 ways that you can screw it up. So this is an absolute pug slayer. The issue with this mechanic is that there really is no easy solution besides becoming more familiar with it. I personally run green 1 all the time. I've done green 3 as tank as well, which I cover how I go about doing this mechanic in my Wing 5 ultimate guide. But for the most part, it's all about just being willing to volunteer and getting comfortable with the hitboxes of the orbs, where the laser light is. And I've tried to use timers to help with this, but I feel that experience experience is far better than any tool that you have available to you. Being able to tell based on the fight progress what green you need is always going to be way more comfortable than relying on a timer that's on Blish HUD or through Nexus. So just keep that in mind, and if any of these mechanics you run into issues with, just you need to do them more often. That's the short. That's how you get better with it. That's how you get better at cannons. That's how you get better at throwing bombs, at kiting flak. That's how you get better at not stepping in oil. You just need to do the fight more often and get more comfortable playing around these mechanics. And with that, these have been the absolute 5 best Pug Slayer mechanics in Guild Wars 2. And if you are in any Pug group and you fail any number of these, you will be judged by the rest of your group. And it is incredibly obvious to everybody who failed it. The whole group is judging you. Don't let these mechanics scare you. And if you fail any of them, just know it's a pretty common thing. So don't beat yourself up about it, but just know everybody expected it to happen. Like the most obvious thing to happen, oh, green 2 died on their first green. Everybody expected it. I expected it. And frankly, I find it pretty funny, but it can be very frustrating if you really want to kill or something like that. But with that, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you found this list entertaining. Let me know what your top 5 Pug Slayer mechanics are in the comment section below. I know that I did reach out to a couple other people, and they said things like zero mines or the mines during escort missions and other things like that. So there's a lot of them that different people have different experiences with. But was I right? Was I wrong? I'd love to hear it. And I want to shout out to all of my subscribers. A big special shout out thanks to all of my members who support the channel. I'm also an Arenanet partner. You can use my referral link to hook the channel up with some money. But thanks again, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.